Here's a psychology fact you're not ready for. The reason you have a graveyard of half-finished projects in your bedroom isn't because you're lazy, and it's not because you lack discipline. Society loves to call you a jack of all trades, master of none. But what if I told you that your inability to stick to just one thing is actually a biological indicator of an evolutionary advantage? If you've ever called yourself a quitter, or wondered why your passions fade so fast, you need to watch this. Psychologists call this multipotentiality, or the scanner personality. And once you understand it, you'll see exactly why you act the way you do. Your career choices, your hobbies, and the intense guilt you feel every time you abandon a new interest. All of it is influenced by this one psychological pattern. You've been told your whole life that you have to pick one niche and specialize in it forever. The world treats your broad curiosity like a focus problem that needs to be medicated. But here's where it gets even worse. You actually believe them. You think you're broken? Most people stop here, except that they are just flaky, and that is the biggest mistake you can possibly make. Here's the painful part. Your brain chooses comfort over growth every single time, unless you force it to change. When you start a new hobby, your brain's reward center floods you with dopamine. It's called the novice high. It makes you feel obsessed and motivated, but the second you learn the basics and the novelty wears off, your brain cuts the dopamine supply completely. That sudden boredom and frustration you feel, that's not a loss of passion. That is literal chemical dopamine withdrawal. Your brain is starving for a new hit of novelty, so it convinces you to quit and start something else to get that high back. But here's the part nobody wants to admit. Quitting when the dopamine drops isn't what destroys your potential. And this next part explains why your life hasn't changed yet, despite all your natural talent. This happens because you are relying on motivation instead of biological tenacity. There is a specific hub in your brain called the anterior mid-cingulate cortex, the AMCC. Your brain does this to protect you from burning calories, but the reality is, the AMCC acts exactly like a muscle. When you do something you hate doing, this brain area actually gets bigger. When you quit, because something got hard, it shrinks. Your mind thinks you have a focus problem, but the reality is, you have a weak AMCC. But if you have the multipotentialite drive, you aren't meant to be a specialist. In a complex world, the generalist wins. The greatest polymaths in history didn't pick one thing. They engaged in skill stacking. They became top 25% in 3 different things, combined them, and created something the specialists couldn't even comprehend. Here's the truth you've been avoiding. You don't need to find your one true passion. You need to train your brain to survive the dopamine crash. If you want to break this cycle, start with an audit. Ask yourself, are you quitting because the skill is no longer useful? Or are you quitting just because the dopamine ran out? Here's the mental trick that actually works. The 15% push. The next time you're learning a new skill, coding, a language painting, and you feel that sudden, overwhelming urge to quit because it's frustrating, you're not allowed to stop immediately. You must push past that friction for exactly 15% longer than you want to. Read one more page. Write 2 more lines of code. That specific moment of friction is the only time your AMCC is growing. You don't have to specialize. You can be a polymath. But you have to earn the right to move on by pushing through the plateau. If you've spent your life feeling guilty for wanting to explore everything, I want you to let that go today. Your curiosity is your greatest advantage, as long as you learn how to weaponize it. If this video reframed how you see yourself, hit the subscribe button and leave a comment below with the one project you're going to go back and apply the 15% push to. You aren't broken. You're just wired for breadth. Keep building your stack. I'll see you in the next video.